Okay, people, so the prelims. We have got some very intriguing fights on this one, right? It is what? Uh, 7 fights on the prelims. And we start off with the ladies. The first of our two women's fights on the card. It is the flyweights, Jamie Lee Hoff against Vanessa Demopoulos. Yes. Now, interesting enough, both former LFA champions. Janie Lynn Hoff was the flyweight champion. Now she's coming off a loss. She's 35, 5'7", 66-inch reach. Okay. She is currently 2-2 in the UFC. So last time out, she lost to Miranda Maverick, who is also on this card. That was December 2024. That went to a decision. She's kind of, just gone win-loss, right? Fought Haley Cowan in her debut. Then she lost to Vanessa Hardy in a split decision. Beat Ivana Petrovic in a split. And then lost to Maverick. When we look at our record outside the UFC, right? She's got some subs, rear naked, and a couple of knockouts. Well, kind of stoppages, So she goes up against a little monster, Vanessa Demopoulos, who is 5'6", 5'2", 59.5-inch reach. Vanessa's coming off a couple of losses. All right, she's 5-4 in the UFC. Right, so last time out, she lost to Talita Alencar. That was in April this year. And she also lost to Jacqueline Amorin in September 2024. Now, both of those girls are very good, right? I feel in the Alencar fight, I don't know, Vanessa didn't look like she had a game plan or could change what she was doing, But before she got the win over Emily Ducont and Kanako Mazzati, which were very close. I remember them both being very close. She's got off some wins. She's lost some fights. It is like when she's on, Vanessa can look very good, right? But at times, you feel she spends too much time on her back. And, she might be going for submissions, but it's that situation where you're never actually going to get them, right? You're not in a position to really take advantage here. So the best thing would be to get up, but she doesn't. And her striking, it's not as sharp as it could be. You know what I mean? It's like I think Vanessa goes off her toughness a lot. And being tough, having heart is huge in this sport, right? But it can also be detrimental because you can take a hell of a lot of damage, which means you're losing. You know what I'm saying? And also, it means you're taking time off of your career, right? So there are those two things. But I do think, though, that Vanessa has probably got the edge in this fight. So, I'm going to take Demopoulos to get the win. But it is one of those ones where it's just like... It's kind of close, but, So, Vanessa for the win. Right, so next we go to the welterweight division. We have Philip Rowe against Ang Losa. Now, the last ninja, Ang Losa, he is 31, 5'10", 74-inch reach. Now, he's coming off a loss in his last fight, right? He's 2-2 in the UFC. Last time out, he lost to Gabriel Bonfim. You know, and then there was the no contest with Brian Battle. That was just, yeah, that was all a bit of a mess, right? Bit of a mess. You know, I think Losa, there is potential there, but it doesn't always mirror into the performance he puts out on the night. Right, he's got stoppages outside of the promotion, and I think, I think some of that is like they were all first round stoppages. You know what I mean? So coming to the UFC and then having to fight, you know, a full 15 minutes, right? You've got tougher competition. It is a bit of a shift for some people, and I think it could be that for Losa. Now, he is going up against the Fresh Prince, Philip Rowe, who is coming off 2 losses. And Rowe, man, like, so much potential. So much potential with Rowe, but for whatever reason, it doesn't. It's not sticking. He's 3-3 in the UFC, right? He is 34, 6'3", 80.5-inch reach. You know what I mean? So last time out, he lost to Jake Matthews. Right, he lost a split to Neil Magny. And I think, if I recall the Magny fight, I think he could have won that fight, but it was just, he kind of slowed down, right? And spent too much time on his back as well. You know what I mean? So it was just like, like, come on, man. You can do this shit. He does do a lot of grappling competitions. So he has got skills. Now, he's losing them, but he does have those skills. You know? Obviously, he's not going to be a Gordon Ryan, but when you're fighting people like that, you might be losing, but you know what it's like to be in those positions with a deadly person who's highly skilled. So when you fight someone that isn't as skilled, you should be okay, you know? So, yeah, like, look, he's got knockouts, he's got submissions. As I said, he is skilled. It is just, at times he makes bad choices, right? Just bad choices. We haven't seen him since June 2024. Now, again, this is a tough one because they are similar, as I said, in the fact that they can make bad choices, right? The fight IQ isn't always on point, but I think I'm going to take Philly Rowe to get this done. Okay? That's where we're going. So, our next fight is bantamweight. We have Ricky Simone against Cameron Smotherman. Now, the babyface killer steps in on short notice to take this one. Right? Smotherman was on a 4-fight win streak looking really good. He's 27, 5'9", 69-inch reach. But he then lost just last month. Yeah, beginning of May to Semi City. Right, unanimous decision, but City looks so slick, so dynamic, right? And I think with that one, like Smotherman just couldn't find that next gear. You know what I mean? Like City was so dynamic, shots and kicks coming from all over the place, really good movement, and Smotherman just looked like he was a bit heavy-footed that time out. Right? Now, Ricky Simone is not, right? He is not that dynamic striker, right? Attacker. He's got a load of energy. Ricky Simone is a dog, right? He's 34, 5'6", 69-inch reach. So he's been in the game a while, right? He's fought a who's who. Fought the current champion, you know, does have a win, which is very, yeah, it was an odd one, right? It wasn't really a win, but anyway, as I said, Ricky Simone has been, man, he's fought a load of people. He's 9-5 in the UFC. Right? Last time out, he knocked out Jared Basharat, which was crazy. Because Basharat was looking so good in his fights leading up to that one. And did not see that knockout coming. It was like, yo, okay. You know, which was very good for Simone because he was riding a 3-fight win streak. So he needed that win seriously. Now, as I said, his opponent shifted, right? He might be sleeping on Smotherman because he's coming off a loss. He's coming in on short notice, right? I do rate Smotherman. You know what I mean? I do. And I think coming in on short notice is not a bad thing for him, right? He's young, and when you're first starting out in your career, technically you could be fighting every month, right? Every couple of months. That's not a crazy thing, you know? So I think he's riding off of that energy. He also wants to get back on the winning train. Right? There's probably a bad taste in his mouth because of that loss. So, technically, Simone, you know what I mean? When you break it down, when you look at it, Simone, you probably would go Simone for the win. But I think Smotherman is going to turn things around and get back on that train. So I'm going Cameron Smotherman for the win. Okay, so we then jump down to the flyweights, right? We have Cody Durden against Jose Ucho, right? So Ucho, he's 24, 5'7", 67-inch reach. His nickname, I don't even know what this is. Calzifer. I don't know what that is. I don't know what it means. He is coming off a loss, right? The Peruvian fighter is coming off a loss in his last outing, which was his UFC debut. You know what I mean? He lost to Leonard Kavanagh, and that was a great fucking fight. And Kavanagh is such a motherfucking dog, right? Kavanagh is definitely one to watch, so there is no shame in that loss, right? Now, he's, when you look at the record, Ucha, he's got submissions and Anaconda, right, in 2023, in his last fight before making his debut. So that was in the LFA, right? He's got knockouts, you know what I mean? So he's done that. He's got knockouts by a head kick, right? So he's got good kicks. So yeah, he is very skilled, you know? It's just, will that carry across to a upper echelon in competition? Because Cody Durden, right, custom made, is definitely that level up. He's 34, 5'7", 67-inch reach. He's also coming off a loss in his last fight, right? He is currently 6-5 with one draw in the UFC. Now that loss was to Joshua Van, who we saw just shine like a motherfucker last weekend. You know, that fight was December 2024, right? He beat Max Schnell with a ninja choke before that, right? Lost to Bruno Silva, Tagir Ulabekov, but beat Jake Hadley, Charles Johnson, Carlos Mota, JP Boys, all very good wins, right? All very good wins. Like, he has fought some very tough fighters, right? Jimmy Flick, Mohammed Makarev. Yes, that dude, right? Yes, this is an interesting friggin' fight, right? This is an interesting one. Boy, I think I'm going with Ucha. I think I'm going to take Ucha, right? Now, the reason being, I think Ucha has got those subs, right? He has definitely got those. And I think when Durden is losing, a lot of the time he's getting caught in a submission. You know? So yeah, I'm going to take Ucha for the win. Okay, so then from the flyweights, we are back to the bantamweights, right? And we have got Chris Moutinho against Malcolm Wellmaker. Now, Chris, right? He's 32, 5'7", 70-inch reach, and he's on a current 5-fight win streak. And for him, you know, like, I guess people definitely must remember his fight with Sean O'Malley, right? Came in with his purple hair and was it green? I think it was green actually that time. And he came with a lot of heart, right? Losing that fight, but always coming at O'Malley. And it wasn't until the third round and close to the end of the third that O'Malley was able to put him out, right? Now, he lost that fight, came back, he then lost to Guido Cometti, right? Did that. He did a grappling fight, a boxing fight, lost those. So you've lost 4 things back to back. Didn't lose heart, went back to the regionals, and he's picked up 5 fights, right? 5 fights. Now, in those fights, he got a bulldog choke, a guillotine, and then, 3 knockouts, 3 stoppages. Right, so that is very impressive. Didn't lose heart. Stuck with what he wanted. Put things back together. And now he's got the call to step up on short notice and fight the machine, Malcolm Wellmaker, right? Wellmaker, he is 31, 5'10", 71.5-inch reach, right? He had a great win in his UFC debut, so he's riding high on that, right? riding high on that. And he is very fucking skilled. Whew. Very skilled. Right? That right hook he lost on Cameron Simon was just, oi. It was filthy. Right? It was filthy. He has got that knockout power. And he does have some submissions. He likes a rear naked choke. Right? Now, after what Marab did last weekend, you know what I mean? I think World Maker that knows he needs to put something on today if he wants to keep that moniker of the machine, because we've seen what machines can do, right? We've seen what they can do. Marab is killing it. But no, World Maker, I think he is a very legit prospect. And I think, you know, unfortunately for Chris, right, making his return to UFC, again, he's not been given a good opponent to step into that octagon with. Yeah, I'm taking Malcolm Wellmaker for the win. So then we go to the welterweights, and we have got Michael Chiesa against Court McGee, right? We've got a couple of OGs doing it, which you think it's crazy that the Crusher and Maverick have not fought before. You know what I mean? It's just like, how the fuck did that happen? Right? Court McGee, he's 40, 5'11", 75.5-inch reach, coming off a win in his last fight. He's currently 11-12 in the UFC, right? Fought on the Ultimate Fighter. Now, McGee he is relentless, right? He will watch you down and just take over, just smother you, just kind of absorb you into himself, right? As he does his thing. He's not the most skilled striker. He's not the best grappler, but he has got a will that can be undeniable. That's when he's on. Now, he was on a 3-fight losing streak, right? Jeremiah Wells knocked him out. Matt Brown, that was a vicious knockout. And then he lost a decision to Alex Morano. And in those fights, he didn't look great. He looked like his career had caught up to him, you know? But then against Tim Means, right, got that neck crank in the first round. He looked like a vintage Court McGee. That was such a great performance in October 2024, you know? So you're like, fuck, is McGee back? You know what I mean? Now he's going up against Michael Chiesa, another Ultimate Fighter competitor and winner, right? Chiesa won the Ultimate Fighter. He's 37, 6'1", 75.5-inch reach. He's on a 2-fight winning streak, which I completely forgot. In my head, last time out, he lost to Kevin Holland. But that wasn't until, that was like back in 2023, right? July 2023, which, boy, man, my memory sucks, right? Now, since then, and when I, saw them on paper, I was just like, oh, yes, he beat Tony Ferguson and Max Griffin. I remember that now. And both by rear naked choke, right? Both by rear naked choke. The Griffin one was impressive because it was in the last round, you know? He's 13-7 in the UFC. But before that, right, he lost to Vicente Luque via Das. Sean Brady by decision, and then Holland caught him with a dust. And you did wonder what his commitment was like. You know, because he does the analytics, right? He does all of that. So you just think, is he unfocused? Right? Does he actually want to fight? But then, you know, he's come back. He's come back and looked very good. So I'm going to say, because when Chiesa is on form, focused, ready, he's fucking good. Right? And I think a good Michael Chiesa beats a good Court McGee. So I'm going with Michael Chiesa for the win. And the prelims end with a light heavyweight fight that was rescheduled. It's Paul Craig against Rodolfo Bellato. Right? Now, yeah, this was an interesting one, right? Because the first fight got cancelled on, I think it was fighting day. Right? It wasn't. It wasn't as crazy as the oh gosh, who the fuck? Macy Barber. It wasn't as crazy as that one, right? But it was fight day, I believe, and it was due to herpes, which I don't know if I'm putting that out there. You know what I mean? That I've got a herpes flare up, man. I ain't. You know what I mean? Hey, I do not. I've just made that clear. I don't have that shit. You know what I mean? But yeah, the fight got cancelled, but they kept it together, and it is happening Saturday night. So Trator Rodolfo Bellato is 29, 6'3", 77.5-inch reach, and he's on a 4-fight win streak. It's on a 4-fight win streak, people. He's he went 4-0 in LFAs. Went on the Contender Series twice, lost once, won. And in the UFC's 1 draw, 1 win. All right, last time out, Jimmy Crute draw. That was February this year. Now, before that, he beat Ihor Potiera, second round ground and pound. Right, he's got a good chunk of fights won via stoppage outside of the UFC. He does have submissions, right? Rear naked, triangle. Now, I don't know if he's as good on the ground as Paul Craig, right? Do you want to mess with that? I don't know. But he is for sure better on the feet, right? For sure better on the feet. Now, the Bears you. He's 37, 6'3", 76-inch reach. He's currently on a 3-fight losing streak. You know, he's 9-1 in the UFC. Right, he lost to Bo Nickel, Kyle Bahara, and Brendan Allen last time. He was able to beat Andre Muniz, right? But before that, he lost to Johnny Walker, Volkan Uzumir. And the thing is, because he moved down, right, I think he kind of looked at the situation and was like, I'm a bit too small for light heavyweight. There's bigger people at light heavyweight. So I could technically cut weight and make middle. So that's what he did. But it just did not come together. And because you've cut weight, right, it does make you a bit more susceptible to getting knocked out. And Craig, he's, said, man, he's had 19 fights in the UFC. Plus all the other fights he's had. He's fought a lot. He has not developed his striking, which is crazy. Obviously, he is very good on the ground, but every fight starts standing up. So at least build a foundation in your striking, and he has not done that. So he's talked in the past, like recently, that he's really working to develop his striking, but there's only so much you can do at this point. You are never going to become a world-class striker at this point in your career, And I think that has hurt Craig, especially with these young fighters coming through who are, they're not jiu-jitsu, boxing, Muay Thai. Like, these people just train MMA. So they are so well-rounded, right? So well-rounded. And I think Craig has suffered that because of that, fighting those guys. And, the move back to light heavyweight does make you wonder what Craig's goal is. What's he actually want to achieve? So I think, like last time, I picked Bellator, and I still see it as Rodolfo getting the win, but it is an intriguing, potentially a fight where we could get fireworks, which is perfect to lead us into our main card for the evening.